Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl. She was loved by her grandmother. Once, she gave her a little hood of red velvet, and she always wore it. So she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here is a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She is ill and weak, and they will do her good. Set out before it gets hot, and when you are going, walk nicely and quietly, and do not run off the path. And when you go into her room, don't forget to say good morning." "I will take great care," said Little Red Riding Hood to her mother. The grandmother looked out in the wood, and when Little Red Riding Hood entered the wood, a wolf met her. She didn't know what a bad creature he was, and was not all afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood. Where are you going?" "Thank you, Wolf. I'm going to my grandmother's." "What have you got in your basket?" "Cake and wine. My mother is so ill, and I am taking them to her." "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?" "At the end of the forest. Her house is under a large tree, and the nut trees are just below." "You must know it," replied Little Red Riding Hood. Wolf thought to himself, "What a young creature! I want to eat her. I want to catch her and her grandmother." So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Riding Hood. Wolf said, "See, Little Red Riding Hood, how pretty the flowers are. Why do you not look round? The birds are singing sweetly. Look round." Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes, and Wolf was right. There were beautiful flowers. She wanted to take them to her grandmother. She ran from the path. She walked and gathered flowers. She said, "Oh, I have still time. It's early. I can pick more flowers." When she saw, and she got deeper and deeper into the wood. Meanwhile, the wolf ran to the grandmother's house and knocked at the door. "Who is there?" "Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf. "She is bringing cake and wine. Open the door." "Lift the latch," called out the grandmother. "I am too weak and cannot get up." The wolf lifted the latch. The door was open. He didn't say anything. He went straight to the grandmother's bed and ate her. Then he put on her clothes, dressed himself in her cap, laid himself in bed, and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood, however, was picking flowers, and when she gathered so many flowers, she remembered to set out on the way. She went to house, and she was surprised because the door was open. She went into the room and said, "Good morning," but there was no answer. So she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. Her grandmother was in the bed. She looked very strange. "Oh, grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have." "The better to hear you with, my child," was the reply. "But grandmother, what big eyes you have," she said. "The better to see you with, my dear." "But grandmother, what large hands you have." "The better to hug you with." "Oh, but grandmother, what a terrible big mouth you have." "The better to eat you with." And suddenly the wolf jumped to the Red Riding Hood and he ate her. He lay down again in the bed and fell asleep and began to snore very loudly. The husband was just passing the house and thought to himself, "How the old woman is snoring. I must see if she wants anything." he went into the room, and when he came to the bed, he saw that the wolf was lying in it. "Do I find you here, you old sinner?" said he. Then just as he was going to fire at him, he thought, "Maybe the wolf ate the grandmother, and I can still save her." So he didn't fire, but took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the stomach of the sleeping wolf. He saw Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother in the stomach. They were crying. "Oh, how frightened I have been! How dark it was inside the wolf!" They came out alive, and Little Red Riding Hood took a great stones and filled Wolf's stomach. When he awoke, he wanted to run away, but the stones were so heavy. He fell and he was dead. They were happy. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine. Red Riding Hood thought to herself, "As long as I live, I will listen to my mother and never leave the path to run into the wood again."